Okay, let's start our topic for today, which is motivation. Let's state our learning objectives, which is student will define the concept of motivation in its two types. Student will identify types of theory about motivation. And the last one is student will identify the true principle of motivation. Okay, we have quotes for today, which is by Skunk, Wittridge, and Mies. Based on them, motivation is a process whereby a goal-directed activity is instigated and sustained. Sinasabi nila dyan na ang motivation ito yung parang isang bagay na nagpapalakas sa atin para gawin yung isang bagay. O yung nagsusustain sa atin para gawin yung isang bagay. Para hindi tayo kagad sumusukop habang ginagawa yung isang activity. Let's define what is motivation. It is an inner drive that causes you to do something and persevere at something. Yun nga sinabi ko kanina, ito yung isang bagay or something na nagpapalakas sa atin para gawin yung isang bagay. Halimbawa, bakit nga ba tayo pumapasok sa paaralan? Is it because dahil sa kahirapan or family or yung mahal mo sa buhay? Yung mga bagay na yun ay yung nagpapalakas sa atin para gawin yung isang bagay ay yung motivation natin. Kaya tayo pumapasok sa paaralan. Based on the book, we have two types of motivation, which is the intrinsic motivation and the extrinsic motivation. Let's define the two. When we say intrinsic motivation, this type of motivation is from within the person, himself, or herself, or the activity itself. Pag sinabi natin intrinsic motivation, ito yung klase ng motivation na nanggaling mismo sa atin. Halimbawa, is bakit nga ba tayo naging math majors? Because dahil magaling tayo sa math, o mahilig tayo sa math, yung mga bagay na yun ay yung nagmo-motivate sa atin para maging isang math major. At yung mga bagay na yun is galing lang mismo sa atin. Siyempre, next nun is yung intrinsic motivation, which is the opposite of intrinsic motivation. When we say intrinsic motivation, this type of motivation comes from external factors such as rewards, recognition, or punishment. Kumbaga, ito yung klase ng motivation na hindi nanggaling sa atin, but galing siya doon sa environment natin. Halimbawa nun is yung punishment. Halimbawa sa school, sinabihan ka ng advisor mo na ibabagsak ka niya kapag di mo tinapos yung activity na pinapagawa niya sa'yo. Siyempre, yung punishment na yun is i-motivate ka niya para gawin mo yung activity mo at maiwasan mo yung punishment na ibibigay sa'yo ni teacher. At ayun yung intrinsic motivation kasi hindi nanggaling sa'yo yung motivation na yun, but galing yun mismo sa teacher mo, which is sa environment mo. And we have different theories on factors affecting motivation. Dito is malalaman natin mga iba't ibang theories na nakaka-apekto doon sa motivation natin. Meron tayong 6 theories, which is number 1 is yung attribution theory, number 2 is self-efficacy theory, number 3 is self-determination and self-regulation theory, number 4 is yung goal theory, number 5 is yung choice theory, and the last one is yung Maslow hierarchy of needs. Let's talk about attribution theory. Attribution theory is a psychological framework that explains how individuals interpret the cause of their success and failures. Dito is we attribute our success and failures to the cause. Ibig sabihin yung pinanggalingan kung bakit tayo naging success or failures. Yung cause na yun is dinidefine natin kung paano natin na-attain yung pagiging isang success at yung pagiging isang failures. And that's attribution theory. Pag sinabi kasi natin attribution, in Tagalog, ito yung pinagpapalagay or pinapatungkol sa isang bagay. Based on attribution theory, we have 3 ways on how attribution theory affects motivation. Number 1 is yung internal versus external. The second is stable versus unstable. And next is controllable versus uncontrollable. Controllable. Dito is didefine natin yung pinagkaiba nilang lahat. First is we have internal versus external. Let's define what is internal attribution. Internal attribution, we attribute our success to internal factors like our effort, ability, or skills. Pag sinabi natin internal attribution is we attribute our success or failures to internal factors. Halimbawa, yung effort, kasi tayo gumagawa ng effort. At saka yung mga ability and skills is nasa atin yon. Siyempre, the opposite is yung external attribution. We attribute success to external factors such as situational circumstances, luck. Yung luck na yan is nasa paligid natin yan, right? Hindi yan mismo galing sa atin. Kaya sa luck, it is about probability. Ibig sabihin, bihira lang siya lumabas or mangyari. And we cannot control it. Let's have an example para mas maintindihan natin yung difference ni internal at saka ni external. In internal, I got a good grade on the test because I studied hard and understood the material well. Kung mapapansin nyo dyan, yung ating success is we got a good grade. And we attribute that success to the internal factors, which is I studied hard and understood the material well. Because yung study hard and we understood the material well is nasa atin yun. Okay? It's about our skills. Kaya siya naging internal attribution. At kung mapapansin nyo sa external, I got a good grade on the test because the teacher made it easy and gave us lots of hints. Again, yung success natin is we got a good grade on the test. And bakit siya naging external? Because we attribute our success to external factors like teacher made it easy. Hindi tayo gumawa ng test, which is nasa external siya. Si teacher mismo ang gumawa ng test. Kaya tayo nakakuha ng mataas na marka dahil nga yung paggawa ni teacher ng test is madali. Okay? That's why naging external siya because again, we attribute our success to external factors. Next is stable versus unstable. In stable attribution, we attribute our success to stable factors like inherent ability. Yung ability natin kasi is hindi yan nababago. Halimbawa, pag magaling tayo sa math, is magaling na tayo sa math. Hindi na yan magbabago. Unlike sa unstable attribution, we attribute our success to unstable factors like effort or strategy. Dahil yung effort and strategy natin yan is pwede yang mabago. Okay? Nagigets, no? Kumbaga yung we attribute our success and failures sa mga bagay na nababago. Okay? Let's have an example para mas magets natin yung stable and unstable. In stable, I got a good grade on the exam because I'm naturally good at math. Kung mapapansin nyo, yung ating success is yung we got a good grade on the exam. And we attribute that success to stable factors, which is I'm naturally good at math. Yung pagiging magaling sa math is stable yan. At hindi na siya magbabago. Kung math mo isang, sabihin natin, automatic, makakuha talaga ng mataas na marka. And in unstable, I got a good grade on the exam because I studied really hard for it this time. Kaya siya naging unstable because we attribute our success to unstable factors. Katulad ng you studied really hard. Is yung cost na yan is pwede yung mabago. Maybe next exam is hindi ka mag-aral ng mabuti or mag-aral ka ng kaunti lang because busy ka. Okay? And kaya siya naging stable again because nababago siya. Okay? Pwede siya magbago. Next is yung last way natin is yung controllable versus uncontrollable. When we say controllable attribution, we attribute success to controllable factors like effort or strategy. Bakit siya naging controllable? Kasi yung effort is nakakontrol natin yan. Pwede tayong hindi magbigay ng effort o magbigay ng madaming effort sa isang bagay. And strategy, we can control it. Paano natin siya i-apply? Or papalitan ba natin siya or hindi? And siyempre, the opposite yung uncontrollable attribution. It is we attribute our success to uncontrollable factors like luck because yung luck is hindi yan nakakontrol, right? Kaya nga sa luck, pwedeng swertihin ka or malasin. Ayan lang yung dalawang pagpipilian mo. At di mo makokontrol kung saan doon yung magiging resulta. Let's have an example para magets natin yung controllable and uncontrollable. Example, I won the race because I trained hard and follow my coach instructions. Again, we attribute our success to controllable factors like you train hard and follow my coach instruction. Bakit siya naging controllable? Pwedeng hindi ka mag-train or mag-train ka lang ng konti or mag-train ka ng sobra. And pwede mo ring hindi sundin yung sinabi ng coach mo or susundin mo lahat ng sinabi niya. And uncontrollable, I won the race because the other runners were not at their best today. Bakit siya naging uncontrollable? Kung mapapansin mo, yung runners is wala silang gana maglaro ang araw na yon and you cannot control it. Malay mo, next day or next race nyo is maging masigla sila, di ba? At di mo makokontrol yun na sa susunod race is ganun ulit. Matamlay na naman sila. At hindi mo siya makokontrol. Kaya siya naging uncontrollable attribution because we attribute our success to uncontrollable factors like that. Next theory is self-efficacy theory. Let's define what is self-efficacy theory. It is our belief that one has the necessary capabilities to perform a task. Kung sinasabi sa self-efficacy theory, is ito yung paniniwala natin na kaya nating tapusin yung isang bagay ng maayos. Okay? Halimbawa, kaya mong tumanggap ng mahihirap na task kasi confident ka na kaya mo yung tapusin. Okay? Based on the book, is nahahati tayo sa dalawang klase ng learners. Pagdating sa self-efficacy, we have high self-efficacy learners and low self-efficacy learners. Okay, differentiate natin ang pinagkaiba ng dalawa. In task orientation, high self-efficacy learners accept challenging tasks. Sila yung klase ng learners na gusto lagi ng nasa-challenge kahit mahirap yung challenge na binibigay sa kanila. Siyempre, the opposite ng low self-efficacy learners, sila yung klase ng learners na laging umiiwas sa mga mahihirap na task kasi ayaw nilang nahihirapan. Baka gusto lang nila na easy life or payapang buhay lang. And pagdating naman sa effort, high self-efficacy learners expand high effort when faced with challenging tasks. Kumbaga, pag gumagawa sila ng task, is nagbibigay sila ng malaking effort para tapusin yon. Siyempre, the opposite from slow self-efficacy learners, nagbibigay lang sila ng mababang effort pag ginagawa nila yung task. I think ang mahalaga sa kanila is yung matapos lang yung task. Okay, yun yung mahalaga sa kanila. And in persistence, persist when goals are not initially reached. Kumbaga, sa high self-efficacy learners is hindi agad sila sumusuko kapag di pa nila na-attain yung goal nila. And in low self-efficacy learners, give up when goals are not initially reached. Ibig sabihin, kapag sa tingin nila is hindi talaga nila kaya ma-attain yung goal nila, is susuko na agad sila. Hindi yan sila nag-iisip ng ibang paraan paano nila ma-attain yung goal nila. Next is in beliefs. High self-efficacy learners control stress and anxiety when goals are not met. Kumbaga, dito sa high self-efficacy learners is kapag di nila na-attain yung goals nila, is hindi yan sila basta nai-stress. Okay? Kumbaga, iniisip nila na next time is babawi na lang sila. Siyempre, in low self-efficacy learners, sila yung klase ng learners na pag di na-attain yung goal is nade-depress agad. Okay? Parang nagtatampo sila kaagad kapag di nila na-attain yung goal nila. In strategy use, discard unproductive strategies. Mga high self-efficacy learners is kapag sa tingin nila yung strategy na ginagamit nila is ineffective. Pag ginagawa yung isang task, is papalitan nila yun ng panibago. Siyempre, in low self-efficacy learners is persist with unproductive strategies. Kumbaga, di sila nagpapalit masyado ng strategies. Kung ano yung alam nila, is yun lang. Nag-i-stay lang sila doon. Siyempre, based on their performance, high self-efficacy learners perform higher than low efficacy students. Matik na yan. Dahil nagbibigay sila ng madaming effort, nagbibigay sila ng iba't ibang strategy, nag-apply sila ng iba't ibang strategy. Siyempre, matik na mataas din yung performance niyan kaysa sa low self-efficacy learners. And the opposite sa low self-efficacy learners is mababa sila pagdating sa performance. Mas mataas si high efficacy students because di sila nagbibigay ng effort eh. Expected na yun na possible na magbaba yung magiging performance nila. Next theory is self-determination and self-regulation theory. Let's define the two. Pag sinabi natin self-determination theory, they believe that they have some choice and control regarding the things they do and directions their lives take. Sinasabi sa self-determination, you have own determination na gawin yung mga gusto mo sa buhay. You have control of yourself, you have choice kung ano yung mga gusto mo sa buhay. And kapag sinabi naman natin self-regulation theory from the word regulation is mga rules. It focuses on the cognitive process that people use to control their own behavior and achieve their goal. This dito is about controlling yourself or mastering yourself. Naglalagay ka ng mga goals to improve yourself or magkaroon ng progress sa sarili. Okay. Let's have an example para mas magets natin yung difference between SDT or self-determination theory and SRT, which is self-regulated theory. In SDT, a student who is intrinsically motivated to learn might enjoy their class and be actively engaged in the learning process because they feel a sense of autonomy, competence, and relatedness in the classroom. Kung mapapansin nyo, si student is ginagawa niya yung gusto niya. Nag-i-enjoy sa school. Pumapasok siya palagi. Active siya palagi sa school. And unlike in SRT, the student who wants to improve their grades might set specific goal, track their progress, and reward themselves for achieving milestone, demonstrating self-regulation skills. Kung mapapansin nyo dito sa SRT, is they are more on focusing sa paglalagay ng mga specific goals to improve themselves or to control themselves. Okay? Si Omrod is nagbigay siya ng mga characteristic ng isang self-regulated learners, which is, first is goal setting. Self-regulated learners know what they want to do accomplish when they read or study. Siyempre, pag self-regulated learners ka, lagi ka nag-set ng mga iba't ibang goals to guide, para magsilbing guide sa'yo para ma-attain mo yung goal mo. Halimbawa, kapag nagre-review tayo, is di naman inaaral natin lahat ng iisa, ng sabay-sabay. Nagsiset tayo ng goal kung ano yung tatapusin mo sa araw na yon para bukas. Ganun. Characteristic is yung planning. Planning is self-regulated learners determine ahead of time how best to use the time they have available for learning. Kapag self-regulated learners ka kasi is magaling ka mag-budget ng oras. Yung time for you is gold. Ibig sabihin, mahalaga. Okay, magaling ka mag-plan kung kailan mo tatapusin yung task na to. Okay? And magaling din sila maggawa ng mga iba't ibang goal para maging guide sa kanila para ma-attain nila yung main goal. Okay? Is yung attention control. Self-regulated learners try to focus their attention on the subject matter at hand, clear their minds or distracting thoughts and emotions. Kumbaga, sa self-regulated learners is kaya nilang kontrolin yung sarili nilang behavior and emotions. Halimbawa, pag nagre-review sila, Inaalis nila yung mga distraction na bagay like cellphone. Okay? Kumbaga, nagpo-focus lang sila sa task nila at hindi yan sila nagpapa-istorbo sa iba. Dahil mahalaga sa kanila yung oras at saka yung task na ginagawa nila. Kaya they have controls from their behavior. Hindi mo yan ba sila basta-basta na iistorbo, okay? Because they have control about themselves. Application of learning strategies. Self-regulated learners choose different learning strategies depending on the specific goal they want to accomplish. Yun nga, is sila yung estudyante na sa tingin nila kapag yung strategy na ginagamit nila is hindi effective, is papalitan nila yan ng panibago. O minsan gagawa pa yan sila ng sarili ng strategy na sa tingin nila is effective para ma-attain na yung pinaka-goal nila or yung mga specific goal na ginawa nila. Is yung self-monitoring. Self-regulated learners continually monitor their progress toward their goals and they change their learning strategy, modify their goals if necessary. Siyempre, tinitingnan din nila yung sarili nila kung nag-i-improve ba sila. Kasi, pag sinabi na sila ni self-regulated theory, is about siya sa pag-master ng sarili natin. Kaya, siyempre, you're going to monitor yourselves kung nag-i-improve ka ba sa isang bagay. Next is self-evaluation. Self-regulated learners determine whether what they have learned is sufficient for the goals they have set. Pag sinabi natin evaluation is about judging. Kung mga ginajudge nila sa sarili nila, o ginajudge nila yung sarili nila kung yung natutunan ba nila is sapat para ma-attain yung goal na sinet nila or yung pinaka-main goal talaga nila. Okay? They assessing themselves. Okay? They assessing themselves.
Next is the choice theory. The choice theory is a biological theory that suggests that we are born with specific needs. For example, need. A person might prioritize love and belonging in their relationship. For me, as an individual, need ko yung love and belongingness sa isang, for example, sa isang friends, sa circle of friends. Kailangan ko maramdaman na belong ako and mahal ako doon sa certain group of friends. So, ang sabi dyan is dun sa my choice is for me to be able to cope or makasabay or ma-feel ko na belong ako dun sa group na yun, certain group na yun, is kailangan ko maging open sa kanila. I need to engage more interacting activities with them para ma-feel ko na belong ako and included ako dun sa circle of friend na yun. So, doon is ma-motivate tayo na meron tayong may connection, yung needs natin, and dun sa sa choice na gagawin natin para makabuo tayo ng motivation sa ating sarili. We have 4 basic psychological needs. First is belonging and connecting. Second is power or competing. Third is freedom. And the last is fun. So let's define these basic psychological needs. So belonging or connecting. The needs for belongings or connecting motivates us to develop relationship and cooperate with others. Very, very self-explanatory, pero katulad lang din yan nung example ko kanina na yung isang individual is nagkakaroon ng motivation kapag nagkakaroon sila ng development or nade-develop yung relationship nila sa ibang tao and nakikipag-cooperate sila sa ibang tao. Ayun lang sinasabi ng belonging or connecting. Power or competence. The need for power is more than just a drive to dominate. So, yung pangangailangan natin ng kapangyarihan or ng power is hindi lang para mag-rule, hindi lang para mangibabaw ka. So, sinasabi dyan sa power or competence is yung kapangyarihang yun is ayun yung magdadrive sa'yo sa motivation na maging innovative, mag-influence pa ng magagandang bagay na makakapagbigay rin ng motivation sa ibang tao. Yun lang sinasabi ng power or competence. Hindi lang para sa dahil may kapangyarihan ka is kailangan ikaw nang mag-rule sa lahat, ikaw na ang mamumuno sa lahat. Hindi, kasi may iba't iba tayong pangangailangan and may iba't iba tayong iba't ibang pananaw kung paano natin i-rule yung sarili natin. So, ayun lang sinasabi ng power or competence. So, next is freedom. As humans, we are also motivated to be free or to choose. Tama yan. Kaya nga tayo may karapatan na makapag-aral, na magkaroon ng mabigyan ng magandang pangalan, and yung mga basic needs natin, meron tayong kalayaan na pumili din na kung saan is, kung ano yung gusto natin is willing natin yung pinili at ayun talaga yung gusto natin. So, yun pala is we are also motivated to be free. Kasi kapag may kalayaan tayo, syempre, motivated tayo kapag meron tayong kalayaan. Nagagawa natin ng maayos yung gusto nating gawin, pero dapat may limitations kapag ganon, lalo kapag kapag nakatira ka pa sa family mo, and nandun ka pa and sila pa yung may karapatan sa'yo, pero meron ka rin karapatan na magkaroon ng kalayaan. Ayun lang sinasabi sa freedom. Next is fun. Each time we learn something new, we are having fun. Another universal human motivator. So sa fun, kapag masaya tayo, motivated tayo, di ba? So kapag masaya tayo, nagiging resourceful tayo sa mga ginagawa natin. Kasi masaya tayo eh. So dyan is sinasabi na we learn something new. Nakaka-acquire tayo ng new knowledge, ng new experiences kapag masaya tayo. Ayun lang yung sinasabi sa fun. So next is the goal theory. Suggests that having clear, specific, and challenging goals significantly enhance motivation. So sa goal theory, by the word itself, goal, meron tayong goal na having clear, specific, and challenging goals, it enhance motivation. So for example, dyan sa screen, there's a vague goal. I want to learn to play the guitar. I want to learn to play the guitar. This is not specific or measurable. Bakit? Gusto mo lang matutong mag-gitara. Ayun lang. Wala ka man lang sinet na goal kung hanggang kailan, kung ano yung aaralin mong tugtugin sa gitara. So there's a specific and challenging goal wherein I want to learn to play 3 beginner level songs on the guitar within the next 6 months and practice for at least 30 minutes each day. Ayun, nagkaroon tayo ng specific and nagkaroon ng more challenging goal doon sa vague goal na ginawa natin. So, doon is mamomotivate tayo na gawin yung task na yon na sinet natin para sa sarili natin. And then, nandun yung eagerness natin na matutunan yung 3 beginner level songs na yun sa gitara, and mag-aaral tayo within 30 minutes each day. So doon is motivated na tayo na gawin yung task na yun every day. Ayun lang yung sinasabi sa my goal theory. So we have 2 types of goals under the goal theory. First is the learning goals. Second is the performance goals. So learning goals is a desire to acquire additional knowledge or master new skills. So sa learning skills is sinasabi lang dito na ito yung mga learning goals, ito yung mga goals na long term. It is a long-term goals which is a long-term achievements and sa mga professional development. So, a desire to acquire additional knowledge or master new skills. So, yung skills na matututunan mo in learning goals is yung pangmatagalan. While in performance goals, it is a desire to look good and receive favorable judgment from others, or else look bad and receive unfavorable judgment. So dito sa performance goals is ito yung mga short-term achievements. Ito yung mga ito yung performance achievement mo na nagkakaroon ng competencies, nagkakaroon ng competition, yung ganon, yung mga pang ano lang, pang short term lang. Hindi siya yung goal mo na hindi siya yung goal na pang matagalan. It is for short-term achievements lang. Kasi desire to look good and bad, and then makaka-receive ka ng favorable judgment and unfavorable judgments. Ayun lang yung sinasabi sa two types of goals under the goal theory. Learning goals and then the performance goals. Performance goals wherein yung learning goals is a long-term achievement, and then yung performance goals is a short-term achievement. So, here's a comparison of mastery-focused and performance-focused classroom. In success defined as in a mastery-focused, a mastery or improvement, while in performance-focused, it is a high grades or doing better than others. So, sa success in mastery-focused, ito yung sinasabi pa nila yung dapat i-improve, or yung sa mismong mastery nila is sinasabi nila kung ano yung tama or yung kung ano yung maganda sa ginawa nilang mastery. Well, in performance, dito is binase lang nila yung grades, sinabi lang nila yung grades, and then sasabihin nila na mas magaling sila sa iba. Kumbaga, may favorable judgment silang ginawa. While in value placed on first is sa mastery is yung effort and improvement. Of course, mastery kasi yan. Ito yung pang long term na kasi. So, yung effort is naandun na. And yung mga dapat pa nilang i-improve doon sa mastery na ginawa nila. While in performance is yung high grades again, and then the demonstration of high ability. May favorable judgment silang ginawa, and then may favorable judgment silang sinabi. So, sa mastery, reasons for satisfaction is yung meeting challenges and hard work. Sa mastery focus, makikita yung hard work and then yung challenges na nagagawa bago makatungtong sa ganong goal. While in performance, doing better than others, success with minimum effort. So, yun, kasi nga, it is a short-term achievement. So, nandun nagkakaroon ng judgment, and then yung minimal lang yung effort na ginagawa nila since short-term lang naman yung goal na yon. Next is teacher-oriented towards sa mastery focus is student learning. Of course, the student learning is kailangan yun dahil it is a long-term achievement nga in a mastery focus. While in performance focus, it is a student performance. Performance lang since meron ngang competition na magaganap and kailangang merong judgment, favorable or unfavorable judgment man yan na mangyayari sa performance focus since it is a short-term achievement. In views of error, of course, a normal part of learning. Syempre, kapag nag-aaral ka, meron talagang ups and downs, merong ganon. And we must believe na kapag nagkakamali tayo, is natututo tayo. Kaya nga 'di ba sabi nila, practice makes perfect. Kapag hindi ka na nagkakamali, ibig sabihin perfect ka, which is wrong. Wala namang perfect na tao. So, in performance focus, a basis for concern and anxiety. So, kapag nagkakaroon ng bad comments or unfavorable judgments, yun nagkakaroon sila ng concern and anxiety na kapag nagkamali is wala na, parang end of the world na, ganon. Kapag performance focused na, yung ganon. Pero hindi natin maikakailan na kapag nagpe-perform nga tayo, kapag meron tayong natanggap na bad comments or unfavorable judgments sa ginawa natin is talagang hindi maiiwasan na magkaroon ng sama na loob. Imbes na mag-improve na sa susunod mas gagalingan yung ganun, hindi. Nagkakaroon ng ng concern and anxiety yung mga nagpe-perform. So, reasons of effort, increase understanding. It is sa mastery focus, nag-i-increase yung understanding nila kapag nagkakaroon ng rason para dun sa, binibigyan sila ng rason sa effort nila. Tumataas or nagkakaroon sila ng additional knowledge doon sa mastery na ginagawa nila. Well, in performance, high grades, doing better than others. Ganun lang ulit. Laging bad or good comments, favorable or unfavorable judgments, yung nagagawa kapag, or yung sinasabi sa performance focused. And then the ability viewed as sa mastery focus is incremental, and alterably. So, dito is, ano ba yung incremental? Something that doesn't change, or, something that changes. And alterably is, it is yung defined as changes nga over time. Hindi lang siya naka-focus sa isa, or hindi siya naka-fix. So, sa ability, nagbabago yung ability kapag nasa mastery focused. Well, in performance, an entity fixed. So, nandun lang. Kumbaga, naka-fix na siya. Kung ano yung ability na nakita is, ayun lang. Wala nang mababago sa susunod pang performance na gagawin nila. And reasons for assessment in mastery focused, measure progress toward preset criteria, present criteria, or provide feedback. Sa mastery focus, yung reason ng assessment is magbigay ng feedback and ma-measure yung progress na ginawa nasa criteria. While in performance focus, dinedetermine lang yung grades and then kino-compare siya sa ibang students or students to anoters. Ayun lang yung pinagkaiba ng mastery focused and performance focused. So the last theory is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a psychological theory that describes the stages of human needs arranged in hierarchical order. So, dito kay Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it explains how people are motivated to fulfill their needs in a hierarchical order. The levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is first the physiological needs, safety needs, belongings and love needs, esteem needs, and then the self-actualization. So let's define each level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. First is the physiological needs. These are the most basic needs for survival, including the air, water, food, shelter, sleep, and warmth. Of course, we are aware of our physiological needs, or mga pangunahing pangangailangan ng isang tao. Yun is yung tubig, pagkain, tirahan, damit, and air, of course. So, yun yung physiological needs. Next is the safety needs. Individuals seek security, stability in their lives. This includes personal security, financial security, health, and safe environment. Sa safety needs, ito yung sa community na tinitirhan natin. Sa tingin nyo ba, kapag nakatira tayo sa isang magulong environment, magiging motivated kaya tayo? Magkakaroon kaya tayo ng motivation sa sarili natin na gawin kung ano yung gusto nating gawin if alam natin na unsafety tayo sa isang lugar? Of course, hindi. So, included sa levels hierarchy of needs ni Maslow yung safety needs, kasi kapag magulo yung isip natin, kapag magulo yung paligid natin, hindi tayo nagiging motivated. So, ayun lang yung sinasabi sa safety needs. Kailangan meron tayong personal security or even the safe environment na tinitirhan natin. Mahirap yung nakatira ka sa lugar na magulo, puro gulo, puro away yung ganyan. So, mahirap maging motivated kapag ganun yung nasa paligid mo. Especially kapag 'di ba, yung katulad diyan, sinabi diyan yung financial security. Kapag naiisip mo ba yung mga gastusin, yung ganyan, no-motivate ka ba na gawin yung isang bagay? Ganon. So, kaya kasama yung safety needs sa may motivation, kasi mahirap maging motivated kapag maraming iniisip. So, ayun lang yung sinasabi ng safety needs. Next is belongings and love needs. The third level focuses on interpersonal relationships and a sense of belonging. This includes friendship, intimacy, family, and love. So, dito sa belongings and love needs, kanina na example ko na yung pagiging included mo sa isang certain group of friends. So, hindi lang kapag sinabi natin belongings and love, hindi lang lagi sa relationship mo with opposite gender or with opposite sex, ganyan. included din dito yung sa friendships, and then yung belongingness mo and love mo sa may family mo. Kapag ba nafe-feel mo na hindi ka nagiging open sa family mo, motivated ka ba? 'Di ba nga kanina yung sinabi sa example na nagkakaroon lang ng motivation if and only if is yung choice and needs na kailangan mo is connected. If yung need mo is kailangan mo magkaroon ng better bond doon sa family mo, magkakaroon ka ng choice na maging open sa kanila ng ganyan. So, if hindi ka open dun sa choice mo na maging open ka dun sa family mo, hindi ka magiging motivated. Kasi, tawag dito, mag-uumpisa dapat sa'yo yan within you. Nandun dapat yung openness mo and yung willingness mo na magkaroon ng bond sa family mo. And then, hindi lang sa family, sa friends, doon. So, dapat, mapapakita mo rin na gusto mo or willing ka na makipag-engage ng effective communication sa kanila, and then magkakaroon ka ng engagement sa kanila na kung saan is nagkakaroon kayo ng bond together sa family man or sa love or sa friendship, yung ganyan. So, kasama na susukat din yung motivation sa belongingness and love needs dahil nga din sa connection na nagagawa mo within others or sa certain group of friends. Yun lang. Yun lang yung sinasabi ng belongings and love needs. Next is esteem needs or the self-esteem needs. So, once individual feel a sense of belonging, they strive for self-worth, accomplishment, and respect. Of course, kapag naramdaman nating belong tayo, kahit hindi sa friends or sa family, sa inside the classroom, pag naramdaman nating belong tayo and nakikita nila yung worth natin, kung sila nga nakikita nila yung worth natin, what more pa sa atin? Dapat is nag-uumpisa sa self-worth yan. Malalaman, i-determine muna natin yung worth muna natin as an individual para makita rin ng iba kung ano ba talaga yung meron tayo. So, doon din mag-strive ka na for success, accomplishment, and of course, ang respect. So, doon is nabubuo yung motivation sa sarili mo na nakikita nila yung yung accomplishment ko, yung ganto ko. Magkakaroon ka ng respeto sa sarili mo na magbibigay din ng motivation sa ibang tao. Ayun lang sinasabi ng esteem needs. So, last is the self-actualization, representing the realization of one's full potential. Individuals at this level seek personal growth, self-fulfillment, and peak experiences. So, sa self-actualization, dito tayo yun nga sabi nga dyan, nagsisik tayo ng personal growth. Kasi syempre, hindi naman tayo laging natututo lang sa sarili natin. Kailangan din natin ng ibang tao para ma-motivate tayo na gawin din para sa sarili natin kung ano yung mga kaya nilang gawin sa sarili nila. So, nandyan, seek personal growth, self-fulfillment, and peak experiences. Kasi, di ba, ako, example sa sarili ko is, nagkakaroon ako ng mga ignorance pa ako sa ibang bagay na nakikita ko sa ibang tao na ginagawa nila wholeheartedly. Samantalang sa akin is, parang, bakit ganto? Kaya nilang gawin yung ganto, bakit ako hindi? So, doon is, kailangan kong, reflect ako sa sarili ko or na-realize ko na yung mga kaya ng iba is pwedeng kaya ko ring gawin sa sarili ko. So, doon is namomotivate tayo or namomotivate ako na gawin din para sa sarili ko kung ano yung mga nagagawa ng ibang tao. Pero syempre may mga bagay din naman na hindi talaga natin kayang gawin, na kayang gawin talaga ng ibang tao. Ayun ang sinasabi ng self-actualization. Since we're done talking about the theories on factors that affects motivations, let's move forward to the student diversity in motivation. So let's define what is student diversity. Student diversity and and diversity encompasses the wide range of individual differences among students in a learning environment. So, very familiar na tayo sa student diversity or sa diverse learners. Ito yung sa diversity, it's yung individual differences ng among students in a learning environment. Ayun yung student diversity. So, in student diversity in motivation, we have two principles to consider regarding social and cultural influences on motivation. First is, students are most likely to model the behaviors they believe relevant to their situations. Sinasabi lang dyan na mostly sa estudyante or sa mga learners is nag-a-act sila kung based sa kung ano lang yung meron sila or kung ano lang yung sitwasyon nila. For instance is yung mga student na that lacks financially and hindi naman nakakaangat sa buhay pero sinusubukang makakope sa mga nangyayari sa school or sa environment man yan. Doon is nadidetermine na ang isang estudyante or ang isang learner is marunong umayon sa kung ano lang yung sitwasyon na meron sila. So next is students develop greater efficacy for a task when they see others like themselves performing the task successfully. So dito sa second principle is sinasabi lang na nagiging mas eager yung isang student kapag nakikita nila na yung iba is nagiging successful din sa ginagawang task. Sila is mas ginagalingan din nila or mas hinuhusayan din nila yung task na gagawin nila kapag nakakakita sila ng isang student or kaklase nila na ginagalingan din yung or nagiging successful din yung task na ginagawa nila. So, ayun lang yung sinasabi sa principle number 2 na students develop greater efficacy for a task when they see others like themselves performing the task successfully. So, ayun lang yung sinasabi ng principle number 2 na mas nagiging eager yung isang bata or yung isang student or learner na gawin na masusayan pa yung ginagawa nilang task kasi nakikita nila na yung ibang estudyante or ibang learners is nagiging successful sa ginagawa nilang task. Ayun lang yung sinasabi sa second principle. So that will be the end of our discussion with Mr. John Henry Capuyan regarding to our topic motivation. Thank you and God bless.